Hello and welcome to Warhammer Joey with me, Joey. I haven't seen you guys in a while. I've been pretty busy. I've been doing some Malifaux stuff, I've been doing some mini wargaming stuff, I've got loads of things to do. Next week I'm away, so I thought I'd do a little bit of a old school video, if you like, just having a chat and a discussion, and this week it's going to be about Wood Elves versus Lizardmen. Because if you've been watching some of the Warhammer Wednesday videos, I've been doing Lizardmen Game of Thrones themed army as opposed to my original Wood Elf army. So I was going to go through gameplay, painting and that kind of thing, and how they match up and which I prefer to play with. So first things first, let's go for building. Okay, so I'm not a fan of building generally. The reason for that is because I'm not a very patient person, so when it comes to things like gluing, filing, cleaning, clipping, and just general sorting out the models for them to be glued together. I mean, the gluing is irritating beyond belief because I have to sit there for ages, and I tend to glue everything together anyway, usually myself. So it's not my favourite aspect. But I will say that because with Wood Elves they are typically pretty fiddly models and they're really small, especially things like the Dryads and the Glade Guard. There's only a few big models. They're very difficult to pose well and to line up. So once you've built them all, you have to really make sure that you can fit them properly in a movement tray, so they don't all have bows sticking out at random angles. So that's important to know and do with Wood Elves, is to kind of assemble them as they would be in a movement tray to make sure that they're not knocking into each other or locking things. Dryads especially, with the big branches, they often get caught within each other and break off, and limbs and arms falling everywhere. So that's always a bit of a disaster, and I found that where they were my first unit and army, I didn't pay any attention to that at all. But on the other hand, with Lizardmen, they're typically a lot bigger, chunkier limbs, big torsos, and the gluing isn't that strenuous and the cleanup isn't that bad. There's a lot more to do rather than, you know, tiny little bows and stuff where you've got a moulding line down the middle. That tends to be really difficult. You don't want to file too hard in case you break it, and all manner of craziness and disasters tend to happen. So Lizardmen on the building front, I think I definitely prefer. Okay, so painting. I didn't have a theme in mind, I didn't have a colour scheme particularly, apart from, I guess, autumn themed, which was pretty generic, that I'd looked on Cool Mini or Not, I think, and found something that I really liked, and I chose that for my Wood Elves. I didn't plan especially what I was doing. I just picked out a few colours, red, orange and brown, and went from there and chucked on all the colours that I thought would be a good idea. So that's as far as my painting really went with the Wood Elves. And with the Dryads over time I began to get a bit more colour orientated. I did different types of tree, so different colours, red, brown, mossy coloured ones, and I started to really get into it as I developed, but there was no structure in mind, there was no plan for it. So it was a real trial and error situation, whereas with the Lizardman I definitely had a theme, an idea in mind before I even began. So I spent a lot of time researching things that were Game of Thrones themed. So I have Lannister, the colours were pretty easy to do, and a lot of the decisions were made for me, which made it infinitely easier. I think theming an army is a real helpful idea, especially if it's a first. It gives you a lot of fun, a lot of time to mess around with stuff, and if you're a bit unsure of what to do colour wise, you can easily just, you know, in this case I just Wikipedia'd or Googled some colour schemes for the King's Guard. It was white and gold, and that's what my Temple Guard are now going to be. So a lot of that was avoided. And again, the chunky versus really tiny detail definitely comes into play here, because with Wood Elves, tiny detail, tiny faces, and often masks are covering half the face, which makes it really difficult for you to do the detail properly. So hopefully with the Lizardmen, I've painted a few, and they have been easier to do, but not necessarily as intricate as I would like. There's not, you know, there's scales and the skin, and that looks really effective with really bold contrasting colours, but there's not a lot of the you know, with little gadgets and things that they've got on their armour and fiddly bits, there's not too much crazy colours that you can do with it, because it kind of gets overwhelming. So I really like painting them, and I'd say I might have enjoyed Wood Elf painting more had I done it second than the Lizards doing them now. I think they're a better beginner painter army, but in this case I'm going to have to say that Lizardmen win. So on the hobbyist side of things, Lizardmen seem to have a head start, but it should be said that I really enjoyed and still love my Wood Elves just because they were my first. I learnt so much from doing them, and as time went on I started to do a little bit more with conversions. I did the Dryad Archers, I did a more vibrant scheme, and I think if I redid them, which I'm planning to do, they would come out a lot better and more unified than they ended up being, because I kind of tried new things as I went along. But I love them, I love the look of them, the models are great, and Morgan Treeman, you gotta love him, he's awesome. So yeah, I think I'm going to give a few of the models, clean them off, I'll do a tutorial on that I imagine, and start again, start afresh, and see the difference between some old and new, and how my painting has really improved over time. I think that would be the best demonstration, to do the first model and a current model a year on. So that's what I'm going to be doing, I think, for my next Warhammer Wednesday video. Lizardmen, it is important to say that I think the models are wicked. They're brilliant, they're really nicely done, the detail is great, and especially with the theme I've chosen, I have a lot of room to mess around with different colours, different styles, and you know, just different looking Lizardmen. So they're not going to be as unified as I would like, but they do have a purpose. So there we go. Love of Wood Elves, coolness of Lizards. Which do you prefer? Okay, so on to the gamer side of things. I've been playing most of my tournaments, in fact all of my tournaments, with Wood Elves, and I've had some really good results and some very, very bad results. And some in between, so it's been okay. I've learnt a lot of old, well, a lot of rules in quite a short space of time, and I'm not the best player, but I'm not the absolute worst player, so I'm doing alright. The problem with Wood Elves for learning to play is that they're very old, the book is outdated, it definitely needs upgrading and redoing completely, because a lot of things like monstrous cavalry and that kind of stuff just doesn't exist. Neither does a signature spell really, or an attribute for the magic laws. So there are things that definitely need improvement for them to even be on par in a competitive level. But you know, to play with them, I learned a lot of good things, like to skirmish, the range of stuff, and just how awesome Wood Elves can be if used correctly, which currently I do not, but I have seen them used really well and effectively, and I tend to take more care, or I'm more comfortable when I'm playing with some really hardcore units like the Treekin and the Treeman. The problem with them as an army is that they don't have a true ward save. It doesn't work against magical attacks and double wounds on the hardcore units for flaming stuff. So, you know, cannons taken right off the table with sometimes no save with magical missiles, and that's terrible. That's terrible news. So fire magic, gone. They're all gone, and that's terrible when, you know, you're playing a game with an army that you love, even if it's slightly old and a bit crap at times. But, you know, a damaging fire spell when all of your stuff's dead, that's awful. So they definitely need a true ward save that doesn't not work at all against magical missiles, and that's so annoying. Otherwise, I think the bows are amazing. I think I definitely need to get some more archers, and yeah, the magic can only use Life or Beast as a level 3. That's annoying, very annoying, because it's very expensive point wise. The points definitely need adjusting. In a lot of comped tournaments they tend to get given an extra 200 points just to allow for the cost expense of some of the spell weavers and stuff. So whereas on a 2,400 point I couldn't take 3 Treemen and a Life Weaver, I could at 2,600. So it's little things like that that just would improve the army so greatly, what are your thoughts? If you're a Wood Elf player, what do you think would greatly improve the army? Ward save points, and I need a Spell Weaver. I need something that can take Life and Beast at level 2 without being 275 points. It's madness, it's madness. So yeah, all of my games and experience and tournament experience has been with Wood Elves, and when I get a victory, it's a real victory. It's, you know, so gratifying to get, but when it's a loss, it's usually devastating. So yeah, nah. Lizardmen, I've done some of the Escalation League that's now stopped at the lair, but I played up to 1,000 points, and that was about 10 games, I think, in total, and I really love poison attacks. What's not to love? It's excellent. Poison, yes. The problem is the range, because if you get in range, it's kind of like, we need to double tap this now so we can, you know, survive. I've had good luck and bad luck. They can really take out a lot of things, and the skirmishing is excellent. Marching and shooting, love. I need all chameleon skinks all of the time. Scarvet is brilliant, and the durability of some of the units is awesome. The magic, Law of Heavens, not too bad. It's kind of like a jack of all trades of magic laws, I've found. It's got some good stuff in there, but it's not amazing things. The final spell isn't brilliant, and a Comet of Cassandora is as damaging to me as it can be to you. So lizards are, I think I really need to try out a Slann. I want to see how that goes. I've heard only good / bad things if you're playing for or against them. So that's my general plan, is to go for Lizardmen. Is there anything that you think should be changed, either boosted or nerfed with lizards? It depends on your viewpoint. I haven't played them as a tournament, but a lot of tournaments I've been to, lizards have been right at the top of the table. So yeah, leave your thoughts down below. So I guess I'll finish with what I would have done if I'd had any clue over what I was doing in January over a first army, and I don't think, honestly, it would be either Wood Elves or Lizardmen that I would have chosen to play with first. Thinking about it as a beginner army, I would have probably gone with Ogres, and stay with me here because there is a purpose. I think that Ogres have a general, they offer all of the units and all of the skill, the shooting, the cannons, that kind of thing, the Mournfang, and they offer a lot of maybe simple rules but effective ones to know, and coming up against an army like Ogres, I am not prepared for it with either of these, which are very skirmish based. It's a very skirmish based army, both of them. So it's little things like combat resolution that really boggle my mind playing this kind of thing, where I typically tend to avoid it and just shoot and retreat and shoot. So yeah, I think Ogres are a great beginner army. Perhaps what's your thoughts on it? I've heard Warriors are typically a pretty good beginner army, and it's just on the viewpoint of teaching you all of the necessary, if not basic, rules. I think they'd be really good for it. Any thoughts on that? But Lizards and Wood Elves are quite skirmishy, and you know, really you need to know the game beforehand before you start learning things like skirmishing. I'm still terrible at it. I do the wrong things constantly, and I think yeah, some friends of mine at the Giant's Lair who have been teaching me how to play Wood Elves want to bash their heads in with the crazy things that I tend to do, because I panic, and I think that having a more durable army like Ogres, where they've got armour, they're massive and loads of wounds, just gives you a little bit more confidence from the get-go, and confidence in your army is a good place to start. So yeah, the confidence with my Wood Elves has gone down and down as I've heard more and more bad things about them, but those are my thoughts. What are yours? So yeah, there we are. Lizards versus Wood Elves. I'm undecided. I'm torn between original love, first love, and cool stuff. Cool theme, poison attacks, Slann, double Slann. The choices are endless. The evilness can go on and on. So I think there's a lot more heavy duty, sneaky things with Lizardmen than there is with the squishy Athol Wood Elves. So hopefully they get a new book. Let's make it happen. Let's get this ball rolling for Wood Elves to get an upgrade, because I think they are quintessentially fantasy. Dwarfs, Wood Elves and Orcs and Goblins are fantasy. They are. That's what makes it fantastical in this mythical world that is Warhammer. So I think they definitely need to have some love and care shown their way. But there we are, those are my thoughts. Any of your own, leave in the comments down below, or on Facebook, Twitter or YouTube, email, everywhere. Links to everything down below. So next week I will be away again. If you haven't seen the Malifaux Rasputina video, go check it out. You don't even have to know about Malifaux, I just kind of stand there moodily as Rasputina in like a Russian hat and goggles. It's awesome fun. And I've got a new live show for Mini Wargaming. I'm on Mini Wargaming, check me out. Every Tuesday, 9 PM English time, GMT, or 4 PM Eastern time. So yes, if you're interested, go over there, have a look at what's going on. You need to be a Vault member and all that jazz, but have a look and yeah, see if you like it. I typically just do strange things and answer questions live, and it all gets pretty weird. In the next one that I'm going to do a lore video live. I'm going to do the lore of fire, and everyone's going to watch and see how many mistakes I do. And it's a lot, I promise you. I mess up so much when I film stuff, especially lore videos, because I have to memorise the card, put it into context, and wear a silly costume. So, if you're interested in watching a behind the scenes and filming live while I'm filming Inception, then go over to Mini Wargaming, you get a week free trial and we can have fun and it'll be hilarious. I'm also going to be doing a battle report with Dave from Mini Wargaming, and we're going to do long distance Canada versus England and see who wins. It should be fun. And yeah, next week's Malifaux video filming is back in London, and it's going to be Sonia. How do I, without wearing a wig and without dyeing my hair, get red hair? Because I don't want to dye it. Should I? Should I dye it red? I don't know. It might ruin it. I've just grown it. I'm scared. But that Sonia is red hair, she's fiery, she wears a cool coat and what looks like a pirate shirt and some boots and all that stuff. So we're going to be doing another one of those. Links to Mini Wargaming, the Rasputina video that I did, and everything else is going to be in the description down below. But I've missed you guys, I have. It's been ages since I've just sat down and done a Warhammer Thursday. We'll pretend it's Wednesday. It isn't, is it? No. But yeah, I've been busy. I've been so busy. So busy, in fact, that next week I'm going to be even busier and not around. But I'm always around on Facebook and Twitter, and if you want to leave me an email, feel free to do so. So, like if you like this, subscribe if you want to, and I will see you very soon. Goodbye.